BioPatrika, your very own online science communication brings science closer to you in so many ways. Today, Sci Connect by BioPatrika welcomes all science enthusiasts to our Career Highlight podcast. I, Charu Gupta, and my co-host Nikhil Kumar Tulsian have been given the honor to hear about a dynamic career story that makes you never want to stop believing in your dreams, no matter where you begin.
For our second episode, we have an excellent speaker and highly accomplished scientist, Assistant Professor Nilesh Kumar Dubey at National University of Singapore. Having begun his career in Maharashtra, in India as a dentist, Nilesh quickly realized his dreams were bigger. He has traveled the globe in his quest towards providing better dental care, leading him to amalgamate nanotechnology, biofabrication, and 3D printing. How did he get so far in such a short time? Is it sheer hard work and motivation? Well, let's hear it from the man himself. So, Nilesh, can you share more on your journey?
Thank you, Charu and Nikhil, for the wonderful words. And I'm very thankful that you guys invited for me for this wonderful presentation. So I will not take much time. I will just talk about something about myself. As you mentioned, I'm a trained dentist. I've practiced for 4 years back in home on and off, and I realized, that being a clinician, because I come from a family of a researcher. My father is a researcher. My brother-in-law is a researcher. My sister got married in 2012, and that's where we realized, I met a scientist, another one from a biological perspective, and that was something which makes me, to go and try this research career. And I went to MD Anderson, and I did totally something very different, which was in liver cancer, nothing related to a dentistry, and that was my first time, I got exposed to a dentistry, and then I decided to do a PhD. I came to NUS where I did my PhD in graphene, nano coatings, and nanomaterials. After that, I went to Michigan, and I did my 2 year of postdoc in Michigan in biofabrication technology, and I joined this National University of Singapore very recently into the Faculty of Dentistry, where I'm exploring this biofabrication technology for some tissue transplantations.
Yeah, that is wow. I mean, I have to say you sampled so many things throughout your career already, and there's also so much more to come. What I'm really curious about is, I mean, you mentioned that you're from a research-oriented family with different aspects of someone. Your brother is in law, and your father is a scientific researcher, and you were a clinician. When did you decide, or what was the turning point in your life that you said, yes, this is what interests me, I want to be a scientist?
Actually, it was in my 3rd year of a dental school, okay? And especially coming from India, we have this, I think we are the generation where our parents have forced us to do medicine or engineering, It's like we are the generation, they said, no, you become doctor or you become engineer. But for
Yeah.
me, it was clear in 3rd year of dentistry, my brother-in-law, he worked in WHO. And I still remember the date, it was 8th of April. And he sent a photo to us. We had a Skype call, and he showed me a photo of him with a crick. Okay. And I was like amazed. I said, what you're telling, he must be dead, because they discovered this model. And that time I came to know that he was only 24-year-old, if I'm correct, during that time. And that excites me, I will say it was my childishness that time, that, I can get to meet these people with whom I read about being a researcher.
Mhm.
Okay. And I think it's a childish motivation, but that was a motivation for me, that I will get to meet these wonderful people, whom we read about the book, and maybe someday somebody will read about me.
Yeah.
Research is a career, you don't get paid well, but you can become very famous. People can read about yourself in the book. And I think that was the motivation for me to become a scientist.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
that's beautiful. Putting a name to the face, and I mean, big people you learn about when you're just 10 years old. Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic.
definitely. And uh, definitely you'll have a book on you for in a near future. The young
Thank you.
scientist from
Thank you, Nikhil.
young clinical scientist. Yeah. So being motivated in your 3rd year as a dental clinic, and you're currently in research, and your research is focusing on biofabrication and bioprinting by applying different types of nanomaterials in engineering of tissues or organs for different drug delivery systems and regenerative medicine. So This is quite new topic in the current world, although it is being applied for generating different types of models, but in the biology aspects, it's still not as prevalent as one should it should be.
Yeah. So
So what are your thoughts on it?
as you mentioned, Nikhil, very correctly, the biofabrication, that's the term. Actually, biofabrication is really a biological take on additive manufacturing. Additive manufacturing is not something new. People have been making models, so many things. But I still remember I saw a talk of Anthony Atala from Wake Forest University in 2012. And that time, he showed a TED talk. He has a kidney in his hand, which was printed live during that time. So, still we were there during that time, but still those things were printed without cells. And the challenge is, the current challenge still we are facing from last 10 years is the vascularization, innovation, the size of the organ, because still with the bioprinting, we are not able to get to that side. And that's where, like, tissue is not something very it's not like a laptop where you have this model and you build it. It is like, it has multiple cells and so many things are involved, and that's where the different type of cells coming in and all. So that's where the biofabrication has come up, because we figure it out how we can print the cells, because that was not possible because we used to have a three-dimensional construct, but the cells, they cannot be, spatially paced or placed in the place you want. So you can have one layer of endothelial cells, maybe you can one layer of keratinocytes, and then you can have some other layers to make those things possible. So that's why I thought, biofabrication is something, it's a very interdisciplinary field where
Yeah.
the clinicians, a researcher, a physicist, a chemist, you just name the field. It's a merge of all the fields, where it is not something one person can achieve. Because when we talk about the modeling and all, we need some people from a physics, mathematical background to do this predictability kind of stuff. So it's an upcoming field, as you mentioned, and it is something which involve all this field. I think in my opinion, it is a most interdisciplinary field, given the kind of expertise you need. And I will say, like, this is not something a one person can do. This is, you really need to involve the other collaborators in your work.
Cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. So like what I'm a little bit curious about is that through the first question that we asked you, where you mentioned about your journey, you said you were a dentist, you practiced for a few years, and then you moved towards liver science. And but your current research is very dental oriented. So what excites you about dentistry? And why is it that you stuck to dentistry? Why not go into oncology or like these other fields that already have so much with biofabrication going on there?
Okay, that's a very good question. You put it very nicely. That I have worked in a liver cancer and then came here. The first thing is, like, I'm a dentist. Okay, I never wanted to be a dentist. Honestly, I wanted to be a neurosurgeon. But I ended up getting into a dentistry through a government round. So it was quite, not by choice, I will say. I was quite disappointed with the dentistry. But then getting into a dental school, I realized, why I studied for 5 years. It's just truth. That's the mentality we have still. People, they don't visit dentist very often. Because they don't think that is a life-threatening condition, right? And when I entered into a dental school, I realized, no, man, I studied for 5 years in a dental school, and same just like a medical students, okay? And all these 32 tooths are different. And I don't know if you guys know, in a dentistry, we have 11 specialty, okay, which two are included. There is a special care dentistry, which is very new. It's not still in India, but in New Zealand, Australia, this is one more specialty which is considered. So that's why when I got into that, and as a liver cancer was a stepping stone for me just to understand what research is. And then I realized, rather than going into some other field, I should contribute more in the field which I have studied for 5 years. And I know in and out of those fields. And if I wanted to go into a cancer, oral cancer is a very highly prevalent cancer. So, but I got into a PhD with a dental material, and I will say, I didn't went into that side because my supervisor was not working into a cancer, right? If he would have been working into a cancer, maybe I would have gone towards that side. So, but I realized, that is something I can contribute more into that because of my training as a clinician. It will give me the orientation to think more from a clinical perspective in developing a new solutions, so which can not only benefit dentistry, it can benefit the other fields of the things. And that's where I talk about the biofabrication. It is not something it will just be used in dentistry. It is something which can help in making bones, skin, heart, liver, all other kind of thing. So it is not only a dentistry. And I will say one thing, it's not like research is something you're not going to contribute only in your own field. You're going to contribute in any field depending upon your expertise, your knowledge, how you will implement that. And then the second thing, which really excited me, being a part of this broader network of people working for better understanding and enhancing people's life is something, which is I'm very proud of. And I think
Nice.
that is something, being a clinician and being a researcher, it gives me the perspective to think more from a clinician perspective. But at the same time, I bring research because, you know, simple medicine, it takes 15 years to come into clinics. So then, sometime I realize that, how much hard work goes behind. So I really feel, one day some of my friends, they will use some material which I have made in clinic. I think that is something which will be really a win for me. So these are the things, which really excites me.
Yes, I mean, absolutely. I have witnessed both toothache and getting a medicine into clinical trials firsthand. And, I absolutely appreciate, I mean, like you mentioned, I was also one of the people who would say, yeah, I mean, toothache, yeah, whatever, it doesn't hurt anyone so much. But now that, you get older, you're learning more and more, and there's so much research which is going on, even with the nerve connections and everything which is there in the jaw. I think it's such a complex field, and we haven't given it any importance till now, which is really sad for us because we have lost out on so much time. And I mean, I really feel like, you have identified such a crux field and such a crux moment in it. And I mean, I think your dream of getting into those textbooks is there. Your name.
I hope so. Thank you for your kind words. Maybe one day, but not sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
I feel like you are someone who is wearing so many hats at once, and you are excited about each aspect of it, which is something which is so rare, and is also something which is so inspiring for all of us who want to do this interdisciplinary translational research thing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, your hard work is commendable in bridging clinical practice with research, and your transition like from young scientist to now has been excellent, where you have merged your clinical practice with your current research on dentistry, but not losing the focus by research of whatever funding agencies, but sticking it towards your dental practice.
Yeah.
In your research, I have followed you closely, and you have had multiple papers, book chapters, and that is commendable, really commendable, having so many high impact papers. And that's how you are motivating more people towards doing research. Not only that, you've been a part of various panels, and also currently you're academic editor of few journals. That's my dream, not dream, but a short goal, to be at such a stage where I have a large publication history. I have I'm approached by various people. So what should be an approach of a person like me or a young researcher who would want to be at some stage in their career to be at what you are now?
Okay, it is very simple, Nikhil. Okay, I will say it's very simple. But sometime in this world, we get lost. I have to tell you in one sentence, if I have to say, how you can tell your story. And that's where people know you. Okay, if you are not good in telling your story, not knowing your audience, so how good research you do, nobody gonna know that. Okay, and now we are in the world of a social media. So it is very important for you to share your article, okay, and write in a layman term. I will tell you, my friends, who are not scientists, they are also very instrumental in playing part in my success. Because when I do something, I post that on my Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, in the layman term. That gives an idea to the other people, and they might be having a friend who is a researcher, and
Yes.
that's how you build a network. Okay. And the other thing I will say, many students and postdocs, even of even a faculty, we are shy of taking a courses on paper writing. When you are a PhD student, many universities they have these courses. I forgot about the university, the publication houses, they have their own courses. So, take those courses to understand what is the paper writing.
Yeah.
And that's where you will understand, it is not tough job, because you are getting a guidance, because supervisor will always guide you, but you need to bring something on table for your supervisor to do
Yes.
those kind of thing, and then being a reviewer or being an academic panel, again, as I mentioned, it is not tough, it is simple. Because many people, I'm not sure how many of people they go and they take the courses of being a reviewer,
Yeah.
because all these journals they have started their own courses. So at least try to do those courses. It is not a waste of time. You enter the community. Once you are into the, because you register, you log in, the academic editors of these journals, they see, okay, who is Nikhil, who is Charu, what they are doing. So you build your own community by yourself. You increase your visibility. I think the previous researchers were not benefited from that. But we are the generation, we are much benefited from social media. So Twitter, LinkedIn, you guys can do, even people will come to know about you. So you have to increase your visibility. But the most important thing is, you are the best judge of how you can tell your own story. Know your audience. Okay. And that's what something will give you a great publication. You will get into a review panel. And most important things, try to be friendly with everybody. Try to help, because that is what something, people they think, oh, I have this idea. If I share this idea with this person, then he will or she will take it. No, because that gives you the motivation that you need to be even more competitive, because he or she is your friend. Okay, I don't mind sharing my ideas with a friend from school of immunology, because they can give me some different perspective of my research which I'm thinking, and that is something which I can bring in my research, which can give me a good publications. And this will something which will make me known to the other faculties also, not only in the faculty of dentistry. So that should be the approach, I will say, if you really want to get into this publication. And most important, know your story, know your audience when you're writing a publication.
I totally resonate with you, Nilesh. So, like, your thoughts and your approach should be more mutual, where you're not just uh, forcing your ideas through, but you're also listening or getting the expertise of your colleague or any other person. I totally agree with you. And yes, publications alone are not enough. Putting them in a layman's term on the social media, since now for the last 2 years, most of the, like, 80% of the life is social media or through internet, and putting the questions or your making yourself more socially accessible and socially present makes it very useful. And somehow in the last 2 years, even I, when I published a few papers and I got opportunity to edit a few papers, and you mentioned about the courses as well, right? The courses a researcher has to take in, rather than just let people approach you. I had taken a few courses, and after taking those courses, I am currently a part of a junior editor of two publications. So I totally understand what the approach should be. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and this is not only for the staff, the PhD students, they are shy, they are fearful. Okay, you will get an opportunity to review your article during those time, and that's where you can bring your mentors. You ask your mentor, your mentor will be a correct person to tell, okay, this article is something which can be reviewed by Nikhil or Charu. Okay, if you're a student, he can forward that article, because that's where when we get a review, we can say, okay, if we don't have enough time, so you have to build that relationship with the supervisor also, he trusts you, so he can start exposing you to those things during your early career, during your PhD, so you get known during those times. So these are important points. It's a very small step. It's a very simple thing, but take a small steps.
Yes, I was fortunate. My PhD advisor did the same. He gave a few articles during my PhD journey and initial postdoc journey to review or comment on, like share my thoughts with him.
Yeah, absolutely. Nilesh, whatever you have told us right now, I mean, the way that mentors, the ability to mentor a student, and about networking and knowing your value and knowing how to express your value. I think all of those things are so critical, and they are so important, and something that we don't stress enough on, because we measure ourselves in terms of, and I mean in a way that we did to you as well a little bit now, that you have so many papers, and you have so many you've held so many seminars, you've presented in so many places, but that's not the extent of your value. Your value goes beyond, and perhaps even more, in the relationships that you formed, in your emotional intelligence, your emotional quotient, and the way that you connect global research, as you also mentioned in our conversation previously, that you are able to contribute to a large global network, which is becoming more and more impactful. And following up from this, I wanted to ask you if it would be possible for you to maybe, have a seminar, or like a panel discussion for us as well at BioPatrika, where we could talk a little bit about, of course, managing the clinical and the research aspect, but more importantly, how to harness the power of social media.
Yeah, definitely we can have this thing. It's a very good thing you brought it up. I think we should definitely have something like this.
Thank you, Nilesh. Talking about the social media, and many people have lost their jobs, and scientists are reviewing their careers to switch. And even I had a thought once, like I'm doing a lot of wet lab research now, and there's a lot of data analysis going on, big data analysis. Should I switch? So, how did you think, or what do you feel should be an important step in career transition?
Okay, so this is very important. The career transition. I will say like nowadays, average job the person do is almost 4 years, not more than that. If you will see so many of your friends, in a corporate world, you talk to them, they are in this company, and then after 5 6 years, they are in a different company. Our parents, they stayed in their company for till they retire, right? And this is something which is a new normal. Job transition is not something frowned upon. Nowadays, people do there as a generation X, what we call nowadays, because every time you're not going to land your dream job in the first shot. And job hopping, it is
Yeah,
not like it is not something only you will like nowadays. So many people are getting laid off. It's not because not of your talent. So many things are happening, So it is a two-way street. So that's why nowadays there's a baby boom happen. So many population, So we can a person, you change the job. It is very easy for the company to replace you. Okay, so it is not something which is like So, but the only thing which I will tell you, the one key thing: pursue your energy instead of passion.
yeah,
Okay, passion is like it's a very filmy term. Okay, it's like how in India we say it's like a Bollywood. Okay, I want to be I'm very passionate about this. But okay, you are passionate. Okay, it is always interchange with determination, the thing which you want to do. It is what which will make you successful. No, I'm very passionate about music, but but if I'm going to sing, everybody will leave the room. Okay, so I cannot be passionate about something which I need to know, I'm good or not.
yeah. You have to be good
And
at it as well.
you have to good at it. Okay, we have a lot of passion. Okay, when I was a young, I wanted to be an IAS officer because my sister, she cracked the civil service examination. Okay, and I have scored better marks than her in my 10th grade. Okay, so that was my motivation, that I can do better than her. But no, that is not, I wanted to be, and that time Sarfarosh movie came, that becomes, you become, when you're a kid, it becomes passion, But once you grow, you start becoming mature and you realize, passion is not, when you see something and things, no, it is what something which you're good at. But again, the passion is not something it is overnight. You build over the time. Okay, I was a very good clinician. Okay, I will say that. Okay, I don't care if people say that is an arrogant word. I was a very good clinician. Okay, I practiced independently for 4 years after I graduated. I'm still in touch with a lot of my patients, I'm good, but then I wanted something different. I always dreamed of being doing clinics and both things together. I went into the research. The only thing I will say, wherever you will go, try to build that as your passion rather than thinking, oh, this is my passion, I will do this. No, passion is developed over the time. Okay, so that's why you develop that over the time. Just don't give up. Okay, and once you realize, that's why you have friends, you have mentors. Talk with them, because sometimes when you are frustrated, you will not think straight, and that's where it is very important to keep good people close. Talk with them. They are the one. Everybody have a problem in the jobs.
Yeah.
Okay, and nowadays the millennia, they say, oh, I'm not happy with my job. It's such a boring job because I do the same thing. You tell me one job, okay, which is not a repetitive job. Even if you are, if even if you are, roaming around the world, it's a repetitive job. You go, you take a picture somewhere, and you write some blog. People think, when we are sitting here and we think, oh, he might be traveling the world, but he is always traveling in the air. He has no life in that
Yeah.
perspective, rather than we sitting in the lab. So that's why it's like, just don't worry. The transition career is very normal nowadays. It's not like our parents' time, but you really need to believe in yourself that what you want to do, you are good at that.
Hmm.
And then it is a correct time for you to make this transition. The timing is very, very important. Dig deeper.
Yeah.
Excellently
Okay.
put.
Yeah, it is like, you really need to know your whys. It's not like that, oh, my mentor is not, my boss is not good, my corporate colleagues are not good. There is no guarantee. Okay. So that's why sometimes, explore without expectations.
Hmm.
That's where everybody, they like, they have expectation when they change the job. Don't. Expectations not going to take you anywhere. You explore. Okay, so these are the few things I will say for the career transitions. Just it's not random, but you have to put a good thought into that, and it's very new normal. So just don't think that okay, somebody will talk something like that. It's very normal nowadays.
Yeah. I think so. A follow up to your answer, because the previous question and this one, what you've mentioned is that, of course, we have passion, and passion is always momentary. It's always, this thing that pushes you towards changing your career, but you need to have the energy. What you also mentioned was that you need to know if you're good at something, right? And but the other point that I wanted to get to was that you said one of your inspirations was that you scored better marks than your sister. And this feeling of competition is something that I mean, as researchers, we are cutthroat competitors. I think we are much more competitive than athletes.
Yep.
So, how do you keep that in control when you're working with a team? And how do you think, I mean, how can you channel? Of course, competitiveness is good, but how do you think that, I mean, with all your success and with making friends with everybody, how do you channel this competitiveness to be something positive?
See that it's very simple. Just leave the ego-ness and jealousy outside. Okay. I will quote here the Three Idiots movie. I think everybody is aware of that movie. When you fail, you feel bad, but when your friend scores the highest mark, you feel very bad, right? But still you saw, they all stayed so close knit, right?
Yeah.
So that's where, because if I have a friend, okay, he's doing good in research,
Yeah.
we are human, we're gonna feel that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But just let that thought cross your brain or heart for that moment. And when you come next day, okay,
Yeah.
just come, because that the person is your friend and he always want good for you, rather than thinking, you will know your competitor. The
Yeah.
good part is you have to think that you are knowing your competitor who is, rather than try to bring him or her down. Try
Mm.
to reach to that level. Okay, I will not say, I'm like a saint, I don't feel
Yeah.
jealousy. You will feel, okay, that's a human nature, but just don't uh, overshadow, okay, by those jealousy and ego-ness. It will come. Just keep it there for one day, okay. I will not tell you to do yoga and this thing. That doesn't help, unless until if you don't want to do this thing willingly. No matter what kind of meditation and things you do, It is not going to help. It is you. So you really need to trust your instinct. Okay, here that he or she is your friend.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's where you feel bad. Okay, but if third person wins or do better, you don't feel bad. These things doesn't come. But most of the time, we make the mistake of seeing our friends and colleagues progressing, and that's where the thing. As you gave the example of my sister, okay, I took that as a motivation, okay, but then I realized, I have to work. I have to read everything from first grade to seventh grade because they ask you the history and everything.
Yeah.
I said that I cannot do. Okay.
Yeah.
So I got the motivation, but then I realized, I because of that jealousy or the complaint, but I realized, that is not good for me.
Mm.
So I gave up, So it is you have to really rely on in your instinct, and talk with your family members. They will be helpful because they
Yeah.
know your friends, So it is not like something you just know your friends. Your family member needs to know that, and then when they are the one who can help you. Okay, so he is a good person. He's not thinking of doing that. But even if somebody do bad to you, just don't do that. Okay, it's that just follow Mahatma Gandhi. It's a step. We were not in their foot. So that's how just try to be patient and just that's the thing I'm talking about Mahatma. Like he was very patient. So many people did so many things, but it takes so many things to have patience. That will not come from yoga or this thing. You can do that thing, but it is really your instinct.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally understand. So having patience is key for multiple things, not only becoming successful in your career, but also personally. So we have to know our feelings, we have to understand what they mean and how to translate them, and definitely learn from our failures.
Yes.
So you've been a clinician, you are now a researcher, and you aim to translate or go into more clinical scientist or a clinical researcher, and that is excellent, and very few people are actually doing this. So what would you say to our listeners and young professionals to look out and how to translate or transition between these and bridge the gap?
I'm very glad, Nikhil, that you asked this question. I get a lot of calls sometimes. The good part is we are connected with the social media. When I post, I'm very active on social media. I get a message or call from some person. Oh, they are dentist. They want to be a researcher. Okay. The reason when I get a call from this, I ask them only one thing. Okay. Because they are not happy as a clinician. They are not having enough patience. So what they try to do, they just run in the opposite direction of the world to just because they are unhappy from their career, they just completely run in the opposite direction. Okay, because being a clinician and coming from into a research, have to start again like your first grade. Because research, like we as a clinician, we are never trained how to hold a pipette. Okay, that is the most important thing when you start your research career. I can treat patient, but I don't know how to hold a pipette. So that is what something the people they really need to understand. As I mentioned before, dig deep. Why? Okay, what you can bring, what you can contribute. You really need to be very selective about your narratives. Okay, because if I get an application from a clinician, okay, I really want to know, what he has done or she has done in clinics. They can bring that to me on my research table. Otherwise, there is no point because they just want to just transit. Okay. And second thing, a lot of people, they really need to consider this financial. Okay, because we are not kids. Our parents, when we are till 12th grade, our parents take care of that. But after that, we really have to become, some people they think, okay, this person is doing good in research. He's a clinician, so I should also try my hand in research. No, but you need to see whether you financially stable during that career transition. Because if you come and do a PhD, it's a 4-year program. And in 4 years, so many things change. Every year we get a new iPhone version, new Samsung phone version. That's how fast the world is moving.
Yeah.
So after 4 years, you think, oh, I will do a research and then I might become somebody like they are following. It's not going to happen. You might be a jobless. Okay. So that is why very important, for a clinician coming, especially from India, where this is not the trend where the clinicians and parents they used to see like, oh no, mera bacha, how can he or she become a researcher? Because that is something, it's not a job for a person who goes into a doctor and medicine. But I'm glad now I'm seeing the Indian parents, they are more open now. I have seen my friends who are a clinician, but they are working as an consultant for the healthcare sector. They are working in a corporate world. So before it was the job for a doctor was only one job. But nowadays they are in the marketing, they are into this civil because for the hospital designs and all. Okay, so I have a friends, they are working with the hospital design because okay, how needs to be OT and all because they being a doctor. So they come from that perspective, and then the civil engineering comes from their own perspective. Okay, so that's the advice for me from them. Dig deeper, know your why. Very important. Just don't switch career because you are not making enough money. Because this is totally end of the world. Okay, being a clinician coming to a research is totally different. Understand. Try to talk with people. Now you are in the social media. Talk with the researcher, the clinicians like me, who have done clinic. What was the motivation for me? Okay, what I came, what kind of help I was having. Because once that is the most important thing, you will not get any help when you will transit. Because we don't know the people from a research field. Okay, I was lucky because I had my brother-in-law, okay, who was a researcher outside. Okay, my father was a researcher in defense. Okay, but it's a very close family during that time. But so that's why you need to find that background who can help you, who can guide you, rather than just taking a big step.
I totally agree with you, Nilesh. Having help or the right kind of help at various stages of a career is very important. And in this fast-paced world, there are numerous opportunities for anyone to pursue or try out. It
Absolutely.
was an excellent
I
discussion
will
with you,
I
Nilesh.
will add one more thing into that, because I remember my time, we used to pay 10 rupees to go to this cafe. Okay. And we used to switch on the Google to find job. It used to go round and round. And our was the generation we used to look for the job in a newspaper. Okay.
Yeah.
Find the things in the newspaper. But now today's millennia, they have everything on their fingertips. Okay, so use those things in a correct way. Try to connect with the people. We were the generation writing letters, using a public phone. Okay, putting the money which we used to save to call to know and ask some people about some informations. Okay, but now the social media like LinkedIn, Twitter, you add people just like that, and everybody they accept. Most of the people, sometimes I don't understand some people if they don't accept. Okay, there are people who don't accept, but these are the social media platform which you can use. Okay, so you are the generation who are blessed with this kind of thing, so make a good use of it rather than just doing some things which is not going to help, but come with a plan. Then only the person will help you. If you will just come and tell, oh, I want to be a researcher, but you have no knowledge, so the person will not, okay, he or she, they don't know you. Okay, so make a good use of this social media platform. That
I,
is what
tot-
something. Yeah.
I totally agree, Nilesh. Mindless scrolling will not take you very far. It's better to start going to cafe, not for talking, but to talking to the right people and broadening your network. I'm highly motivated, Nilesh, from your talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nikhil. I hope I change some more people, I hope.
I am sure.
Nilesh, you know what I've learned from you today? It's to always dream and not be scared to dream.
Thank
And
you.
always look beyond the horizon and think out of the box.
Thank you.
You just have to try everything. And with your story, I feel if I try, life will pay the way for my success as well. And so, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to speak with you today. Since this is a recorded event, I'm sure our listeners will have several questions for you. How can they contact you?
As I mentioned, I'm very active on social media. So you can find me on LinkedIn, they can find me on Twitter. Okay.
Okay, excellent. Thank
Be
you.
ready for a barrage of spam to your email or LinkedIn or Twitter profiles.
No, I
Our
will be happy if I can help some people.
listeners don't spam.
Thank you
Well,
so much, Nilesh.
so much.
Thank you.
We will have Nilesh's email address, LinkedIn profile URL, and information on his venture Cranium Club linked with this podcast for all of our listeners. And please do share your feedback with us, Nilesh, as well as our listeners. on biopatrika.in@gmail.com as well. Now we take your leave and hope that you enjoyed your day today with us, and you will tune in again for our next podcast.